No visuals this time. It's only about 1 a.m. The sun won't be rising, so it'll be too dark for anything to show up. I'm just gonna try to talk until either the battery dies, or I guess if I fall asleep. Or maybe if the SD card runs out of time, but I don't think that's very likely. I don't know. I'll try not to think about my goals. I suppose if I fall asleep, this will become a very long video. At least as long as how much space the SD card has left. I had to get out. I forgot the SD card, so I had to get it back out of bed and go back to a living room and get it and put it in the camera. One time in 4th grade, we flew kites out behind the school. I can't remember if we made the kites. I'm pretty sure we made the kites. And something just moved, I swear. Oh, I turned the light on, but the women's cupboard was closed. I swear I hear something shuffling in the room. But it also might be the wind outside, maybe. I don't see anything. I don't hear anything. It's gonna leave me unnerved. But I guess I need to turn the light back off. Hope it doesn't happen again. In 4th grade, at recess, I'd mostly be on the swing sets because I've always loved swing sets. I hear it again. I hear the shuffling. Okay, it's something outside my window, but it sounds like leaves or something, not like an animal or a person. So I'll try to keep that in mind, even though it still sounds creepy. In fourth grade, I would always be on the swing sets because I've always loved swing sets. And there was just a blacktop that the kids would play soccer on, play ball games, and I'd kick them as hard as possible, and they'd go soaring past the swing sets, just very blatantly almost slamming into kids, and they'd always come very, 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 very close to hitting me, but they never did, and it was interesting. There was this running gag that, like, if you were swinging perfectly in sync with someone and that you were dating, like two boys would swing in sync and it'd be like, ew, stuff like that. If this becomes too incessant, I'm really considering filming myself going out behind the apartment to see what that noise is. Maybe put a stop to it. In middle school, we made bottle rockets in home ec. I mean, wood shop. And mine went the furthest. It drifted away through the air and landed. It got lost in a fenced-in area behind the school that had nothing in it but overgrown grass. And to this day, I still attribute that to me taking a couple swigs of water out of it. I think that really tipped the scales in its favor, because it was hot outside. I decided to be silly. There was a park in a sister city that my father used to take me to when he lived in that city, and it's next to a swimming pool. And I haven't even seen pictures of it in a very long time. I'd like to go back to it. It has an abandoned train ride near it. And what else? In fourth grade, after that teacher told the kid to shut up and then got incredibly mortified and embarrassed and apologetic, she said the phrase, "Are we still friends?" And that's just a random tidbit about that event. One time in fourth grade math class, I just kind of came up with algebra before anyone ever taught it to me. I said, because we had this one problem and I came up with I didn't know how to word variables, so I said, you take number 1 and number 2 and you do number 1 and then you do this with number 2. And I used it as an answer, but nobody really ever took note of it. But I think that was cool that I started experimenting with basic algebra without being prompted to. towards the end of some year in elementary, some early elementary year, probably third grade or before. My gifted class takes us on an end of year park day to a park that's kind of unrecognizable now ever since the tornado. And one of the games is we have two carpets and we have to stay on the carpets and travel a distance by rotating them. One time I'm on the swing set next to this older girl and she shows me swinging forward and flipping upside down, like pulling on the chains so that you go upside down. She has some kind of name for it, but I don't remember. And then Caleb sits next to me and I sing Weeble Stuff songs to him. Yeah, I sing whole Weeble Stuff songs to Caleb. Or maybe they were on my tape recorder. I'm not sure if I would have taken my tape recorder with me. I think I probably sang them. And at some point in middle school, probably 7th grade, yes, we had a park day, and that was, up to that point, felt like one of the best days of my life. In 8th grade, they didn't let me go, but in 7th grade, we all walked single file away from the school and down the streets, a bit across the city, to the park. It was a crazy, wonderful, good day. I don't remember very much about it, but I know that it was good. It made me feel freedom, very much freedom and greatness. I don't remember that many events from any of the houses I lived in during my childhood. I mostly just remember the layouts of the houses and scattered events. I'd say a dozen at most for each household. Maybe less. Just very random, non-notable things happening. For the most part. It was at Donnie's house that I saw the Where's Waldo Screamer in either kindergarten or first grade. One time Donnie was like, I needed a new Nintendo 64 controller. And he said, he was about to leave for work. And he said, well, she might not know which one to get or something like that, and then closed the door and he was gone. And for some reason I stood in the living room and I angrily hissed, she knows which one to get. Suddenly Donnie bursts back into the house and he freaking drags me into my room by like the collar of my shirt. He throws me in bed and he just screams in my face for a minute and then leaves. I don't remember anything he said. I don't remember what was up with that. Sometimes when I'm lying in bed in the dark, I feel like something is going to suddenly erupt out of the darkness and scream at me. I'm feeling like it could happen at any second, and it would just take a millionth of a second for it to suddenly be in my view, shrieking incredibly loudly. I don't know what happens after that. Its presence is enough to be the event of fear. One time in 5th grade, I was with my friend Wyatt, and it was recess. And it was about the end of recess, I think. And I noticed that the shadow of the tornado slide looks like a penis. And I pointed that out to him, but I wouldn't say what I was pointing out. I was just pointing at the shadow. And he had to stare at it for a really, really long time before he figured out what I was implying. It's so strange. I wonder if he never even figured it out and he was just pretending. Or maybe it really did take that long. I mean, I'm not saying it should have been instant like it was with me. You know, I would like to be like Wyatt. But I'm just saying that it seems strange for it to take a long time. How do you search, trying to find a shape very intently, and then, I don't know. It seems like an unusual progression. But it was 5th grade. 5th grade is when the library was upstairs, I think. But when I think of it, it doesn't seem to make sense for it to be upstairs. 5th grade is when the intercom said someone needed to move their car, and Terrell said, "Oh crap, my car." Or like, I don't think he even said crap, I think it was like, "Oh, that's my car." And all the kids laughed. And we had to make a presentation about all the planets. And I just goofed off because she didn't supervise us. I don't remember the math teacher's name. And every time she walked by, I would go to the Wikipedia page for Jupiter. And eventually it came out that I hadn't been working the whole time. She got very angry. I don't know how the teachers managed to get themselves so worked up over such things. They must have a passion for what they're doing. Maybe they're just acting to make sure that kids succeed or are subservient. But I take that second one back because it sounds like I'm trying to be deep. In 4th grade, I made a lot of comics in elementary and middle school. And I think 9th grade too. I drew lots of comics. Many comics. Sometimes they would just be blatant copies of Cyanide and Happiness comics. Or maybe sometimes gun show comics. In 2013, Evan sent me Cookie Clicker. And that's how Idle Games started. And that's when I found out about Vectroid. Well, it took me a while to figure out what Vectroid was. I found out about Macintosh Plus. And it had an incredibly pure sound, something very, very different from what I know it as now. Something very indescribably pure, something you could not imagine from how you probably perceive Floral Shop if you know about it. Floral Shop to me used to be something extremely special. It had a sound. It, it embodied the visual of looking out the window in winter of 2013 and seeing the field covered in snow. Also, surfing deep fantasies like winter of, I think, 2015, when I was playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and it was snow outside. I'm not sure if we'll get much snow this year. In April 2018, on April 20th, actually, hold on a second. On April 20th of 2018, it will be 3 years since the death of my mother from cancer. And that's just a fact that is true. If you ask me, did your mother die? And from cancer? And on April 30th? And in 2015? My answer will be yes to all 4 successive questions. And that's just how it is. I found out that you can't really just not care about, well, maybe they're wrong. I read some information that made it sound like your connection to your mother in your very early years is actually kind of important to your psychology in a way that's very hard-coded and inescapable. It's like it changes the physical wiring inside of you. And the fact that I just didn't really care about her death probably says a lot, probably more than I can just shrug off or ignore. But it's not like it matters to me that much. I remember my brother took me home. And then I got a Facebook message saying something like, she just passed, or something like that. And then he came and got me and took me there. And she was under a lot of blankets. She was kind of yellow. Mouth hanging open. The room. I had spent a lot of time in that room. That special room. It had a very different feel now. And there was a strange spicy smell that had always been there. And my brother Scott was there. I don't see him very much. My most exposure to Scott was when my mom was in a hospital in Kansas City and we drove up there. He took me up there. We didn't really talk the whole time. I just sat. Brought my laptop and I played Team Fortress 2 in the hotel room. And I remember that after she came back to this city, I would take my laptop to that hospital room. And one time I played Deus Ex, The Missing Link. And now that's the game that I played in that situation. I didn't talk to her very much. In fact, the last thing I ever said to her, I think, was on the day that she died. I awkwardly muttered. I think it was, I've always had trouble expressing my emotions, but I love you. Or something like that. I don't know if I actually meant that. But, you know, you can't not say something like that when someone is about to die, I guess. I was 16 at the time, I believe. Yes. And sure enough, I am 19 now. And now, I am sleeping in what was her room. And on what was her bed. For a while, the decor was exactly the same. Now it's somewhat customized to me. And for a long time after that, I just lived with my brother. And then my dad came to live with me. And that's how it's been for a good while now in this apartment. My sister stayed for a while. She bought me a phone and helped me with some things that I don't remember. She let me drive her car a bit, taught me some things about driving, and she moved away to Florida. That's where she is now. So I haven't seen her in a pretty good while. It's interesting. She was a figure for a lot of my life. I haven't met her in a long time, but it doesn't feel very significant. I guess my dad and my brother are like the official family members, because this is like the period of my life where I'm actually sapient, and they are the present ones. My mother nearly made it into that ranking, I guess, but did not. My sister kind of counts, but yeah. I'm really kind of whispering, not exactly whispering, but just kind of a growly mutter. I hope it's registering decently to the microphone. I made a video like this on January 5th, and before I went to bed tonight, I laid back on my couch and listened to the whole thing. Last night, Oh, I already typed out the dream I had last night. I don't think I would want to rehash it all. I just remember that strange girl who was implied to be a mutual friend whose name I'd never learned. There was something. There was something strange about her. Somewhere between 2006 and 2007, I read very bad stories on Newgrounds.com, and now my brain don't work as good. A while before that, sometimes my dad would take me to the house of a family member named Aunt Opal, and that was special. Once, I can't remember if it was my stepdad's extended family or Carl's extended family, but we were somewhere out there. And I remember it was my stepdad. Because my mom and stepdad were in a hammock. I was improvising child music on a ukulele, playing random notes that I thought sounded calm. Once my dad took me to a cookout and we were walking down an alley to get to the house it was at. And I stopped and I made him face like north and me like east or west. You know, a configuration kind of like that. And I said, point forward. And he pointed forward and I pointed forward. And we were pointing in different objective directions. And I just wanted to like demonstrate that because I was a child with a developing brain and I was like, hey, it's different. A forward can be different for different people. And I'm showing that off. In August of 2016, I walked back to my childhood house. It was a walk, an extremely long trek, all the way across the city. And I just looked at it for a little while, trying to determine if it was occupied, and it was. I didn't want to skulk around, but I did go a bit south of the house, which felt like exploring an area that was never meant to be seen. The area southeast of the house, in the alleys, and I heard a kitten meowing. I tried to follow the sound, but I couldn't find it. And then I walked all the way back home, listening to music in the blazing heat. I stopped in a donut shop and got a donut and a bottle of water. In November of 2016, I walked across the city again, and I went to the library. And somewhere around that time period, I remember going to a greenhouse. I used to go on a lot of walks to a particular park, but I don't go there very much anymore. I guess I've kind of lost the motivation, but I should start doing that again. The last time I went there was quite a long time ago. And the last time before that was quite a long time before that. It was like me finally breaking that barrier, but now I don't do that very much anymore. One of the most memorable days was when I walked all the way to the interstate and I lost my scarf, my very important scarf. And then by a miracle I found it again, about a mile north up the road. But up to that point I was swearing and crying and panicking. And I don't know why it was like that. And I was so exhausted when I got home. Mercenaries Playground of Destruction is an incredibly important game to me. So is Marvel Ultimate Alliance. And Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And Tekken 3 and Tekken Tag Tournament, which I played in the basement that my dad used to live in, under the mental home that he worked at. And it had that computer room with a very distinct smell. And the man there gave me a book about Transformers. I guess when I was very young, I used to collect Transformers, tons of them. But I don't have a very good memory of consciously deciding to do that. I think on Christmas of 2013, I was listening to one of the Prism Corp albums, and it sounded special just like Floral Shop. And Contemporary Sapporo sounded like that too. And I touched a space heater that I didn't know would be that hot, and it burned my fingertips, but not too badly. I think that was when there were puppies there. I haven't specified the location I'm talking about, but whatever. That was before they moved to the nearby apartment, and that was where I lived for a while. I ate a lot of canned yams at one point, and it was where I first listened to the Crystal Castles album. And now I associate the texture of that voice and the song Untrust Us with the taste of candy yams. Their microwave would always interfere with the Wi-Fi, and my dad had a friend named Layton. I had 3 stepsisters and a 3-legged cat who is dead now. I believe he was struck by a car. That was like a separate life that stopped existing. A pocket universe. A pocket universe. And then when I come back to this apartment and it's amazing. I can't believe that I'm back. Cannot believe that I'm back. Towards the end of staying in the other place, that was when I had a temporary neurosis. It lasted a good deal of the way into 2015, where the sound of a computer fan would drive me insane. I don't know why that happened. I think it was pretty stupid. I wonder what comes up if you go onto Google and type the phrase "the ecstasy of insanity" into it with quotes around it. I think a lot of really stupid stuff comes up. Well, okay, probably not a lot, but I think what does come up is not very good at all. And I hope that I remember to try that. I hope it's not just nothing, not like zero results. Because I think I'm onto some good stuff with that one. I've had my eyes closed for a long time so I can see in the dark now. The camcorder's preview light seems a lot brighter now. I'm lying on my right side now instead of my left. I can see faint static on the camcorder preview screen. But you can't make out any details. I'm gonna turn the camcorder preview screen around, hold it up to my face, and see if maybe it's vaguely illuminated. I think I did that in the last video on January 5th, but it wasn't very noticeable. I think it was clearer last time. It's not very clear this time. No, you can see my eyes pretty easily. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's not very flattering. That's enough of that. I have my cell phone, and I'm gonna check it one more time. There's nothing, and that's relieving. Just want to lie here and talk. Didn't buy this bed, I didn't buy this comforter, I didn't buy this blanket, I didn't buy this sheet, I didn't buy the pillows, I didn't buy the bedspread, I didn't buy the frame, I didn't buy the bucks that are keeping one of the legs even. I didn't buy the bureau in this room. I didn't buy the shelf. I didn't buy the entertainment center. I didn't buy this camcorder. I didn't buy the bedside table. I didn't buy the star on the wall. I I've opened so many Skype windows and they've all said words. I used Skype in ninth grade in the cafeteria, I think. Or maybe I just pictured the cafeteria once during a Skype conversation about that one individual. One morning, I got to ninth grade early, and I bought an orange juice in the cafeteria. And then I carried my laptop around listening to the song Lofted Cries by Purity Ring while drinking the orange juice. And that became one of my best memories. And I hear a baby crying in the apartment above ours. Once in ninth grade, between classes, I just stood. Oh no, it was during lunch. I just stood down the hallway from the lunchroom, lightly banging my head against a door. That wasn't a good day. Once I got a Dr. Pepper out of the vending machine, and the cap was so hard to open, but I was so desperate to open it that I ended up trying to open it so hard that I think I caused permanent damage to the skin inside of my hand. And now sometimes when I open a soda bottle with it, it burns a little. One time I had to pee when I got onto the bus ride home, and it's at least an hour long. And by the time I finally got off the bus, I was in so much pain. I felt like I was about to cry because I just couldn't pee and like was at a physiological limit. And that was like the longest fucking hour of my life. I think that when I got home after my mom died, I just returned to playing Dark RP and Gary's Mod. Or something like that. I remember I made a self-deprecating remark about it. It was something really menial, possibly a game. Maybe Counter-Strike Source. I don't know. I want to capitalize on all the time I have to be doing this tonight. I'm just gonna fall asleep, and when I wake up later on, I'm gonna upload it all. sleeping.